And it's a story about a gentleman that's watching his wife make a ham. So she has it on the counter on the cutting board, and she cuts off one end, cuts off the other end, and then puts it in the pan and throws it in the oven. And so he scratches his head and says, "But honey, why do you cut the ends off of the ham?" She said, "Well, my mother taught me how to cook a ham like that. That's how I do it. You'll have to ask her." So he calls his mother-in-law and explains this, why, your wife, your daughter told me that you cut the ends off of each end off the ham before you cook it. Why? Does it make it taste better or something? She said, "Well, that's how my mother taught me, and that's just how we do it. You'll have to ask her." Now, luckily, Grandma's still around. So he calls his wife's grandmother and explains the story about this mysterious cooking technique about cutting the ends off of the ham. Well, she thought that was hysterical, and she laughed and she said, "Oh, honey, my pan is too small." So sometimes we might have a tradition that we think is very profound, when really it's something as simple as that. But no matter what, whether it's something silly or something deep and profound and meaningful, it's so important to carry on these traditions. And things like that, that gives us an opportunity to talk about them, to talk about our grandparents or our aunts and uncles. I feel that we need to do that as a way of honoring them, not just remembering them, but honoring them. We live pretty cushy lives, especially compared to what they went through. And just think about the sacrifices that they made so you and I can be where we are today. So as we keep their story and their memory alive and we pass it on to the next generation, that's a way of honoring those sacrifices.
Well, yeah, and that's a good point. I remember my mother's sister, older sister, um, saying at Christmas they got an orange,
Yes,
and that was a big deal to
that's
get an
right.
orange.
That's
And,
right.
and my mom, she didn't. Her sister, her oldest sister, I guess was maybe 15 years older than her or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't. My mother never got a doll to play with until her sister actually went to work.
Wow, I believe it.
But yeah, so
Yeah,
we're talking, I guess 1933,
right,
34, somewhere around that.
right.
But people don't realize that we've come a long way, and it wasn't easy
That's right.
for them